Hello, it is my great honor and pleasure today to welcome one of the great political minds, diplomatic minds for the last at least 3 decades, Mr. Ara Babian. Hello, Mr. Babian, how are you?
Good evening, I am fine.
Thank you for accepting my invitation, Mr. Babian. I will go directly to the subject. I think politics is the art of the realistic pragmatism. It doesn't have any emotions. It doesn't have any feelings. It is just a practical art. I think that our prime minister, sadly, after 6 years, hasn't learned anything. Yes, he can be a very good performer on stage. He can have a great skills to convince, but this is not leadership. Leadership is not just to keep power. Leadership is to provide solutions and provide security for the republic and prosperity. We have seen since 6 years nothing but agony, misery, collapse, and great despair, Mr. Babian. History has its very valuable lessons. Before Third World War II, Chamberlain wanted to earn peace. He made such great appeasements to Adolf Hitler to the extent that Hitler got so powerful, and we know what happened next because he occupied so many countries and built such a strong army that it took 6 years to defeat. How do you evaluate this current situation? I think that our prime minister hasn't learned anything from neither history nor from the great damages that he personally has caused. Please go ahead.
Unfortunately, our current situation is very complicated. It is because of the geography and also due to the non-action of our government, so-called prime minister as well. Because he just, as you told, making some performance, trying to convince people that there is no other choice just between peace and having a concessions, uh, giving away territories in order, as he is telling, to reach or to receive a peaceful situation. But we know our neighbors, and Aliyev was very clear saying that his goals going far away, including Irivan, Gökçe, Zangezur, telling that these were Azeri territories and they have at least to return to that territory. In their old schools, in their military units, everywhere you can find maps with so-called older borders of Azerbaijan, which actually is not the truth. The truth is that the map that they are showing, these are the map of their claims, not the legal borders. The
Yes.
legal borders were drawn not by Armenian government or by Azerbaijani government. They were done by League of Nations. There was a special commission. The commission was called Commission on Delimitation of the Borders between Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Georgia. And this commission on February 24, 1920, submitted to the Council of League of Nations so-called report proposals with a map where the basis for the borders was clear that it must be based on ethnographic data, which means Karabakh, and especially Nagorno or mountain part of Karabakh,
Yes.
which was at that time over 96% populated by local Armenians, for sure was Armenian. Even the territories around of Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Republic, which became into life in 1923, also there were a lot of Armenian villages and regions as northern part of Nagorno-Karabakh. So Pashinyan's approach based on Stalin Bolshevik maps is wrong, because this will not bring Armenia peace. This is making the political appetite of Aliyev and Azerbaijan even stronger. And when they feel the weakness of Armenian government, we see that they are now demanding 4 villages in the northern part in Tavush region of Armenia. And then they continue to speak about so-called 8 other villages so-called enclaves within Armenia.
Yes.
Meanwhile, no word about 32 Armenian villages. I mean, the villages of even Soviet Armenia, that the territories are occupied by Azerbaijani forces, because when you occupy the territory, you deprive them of the livelihood. How the villages can survive without their territories, without having the main source of their income. So, unfortunately, the basis is wrong. The basis of the negotiation is wrong. The implementation is even more wrong. And unfortunately, also, we have to say that when I was speaking to Western representatives, their attitude also that what we can do, your government insisting on these borders, your people agree with the situation, so we can just support or not support the situation. If you think this is the basis for peace, let it be.
Mr. Babian, I understand very well the situation. The situation is that, as they say, if the Armenian official Yerevan is agreeing and the people are silent, and moreover, what makes things more complicated is that diaspora is very silent. I think that some from the diaspora are now listening. What do you want to address the Armenian people inside the republic, and especially outside in the diaspora? I have heard for decades that the ARF, the Tashnak party, is an opposition, but Mr. Babian, they are doing nothing. It's not enough to take some stance that we condemn. Today in the diaspora, the major powers are silent. Maybe there are individuals like Mr. Harut Sasunyan, who is doing a great job, Mr. Wali Sarkisyan, and the Catholicos of Great Kilikia is not silent. I am not such a big fan of the Catholicos, but today he is the only institution that is speaking. What do you want to address, and why is the diaspora and the ARF are silent? Okay, I know that the other two parties say that they are with the statehood, this absurd logic that I will come back to, but I want to address the ARF. Where are you?
First of all, Armenian people in Armenia must be more active. Unfortunately, we do not see this activity in Armenia. This is a lot of reasons. People are tired, people are afraid, people are blackmailed. As Pashinyan went to that villages and said, okay, if we'll not give up the territories, at the end of the week there will be a war and we lost the same thing with bigger casualties. Yes. When you put people in such a situation, people went into deep depression, frustration, and they do not do anything, just waiting to see what will come up.
Terrified.
But you see, in diaspora, I think the situation must be a little bit different, because when, let's say, Serge Sarkisyan signed infamous protocols of Zurich protocols, just giving up, even indirectly giving up the rights to Armenian territories in Turkey. Armenian Revolutionary Federation was very active at that time, making, organizing rallies, manifestation, and so on. But Pashinyan is doing even worse. It's not just signing documents. It's clearly so many declarations, oral or written, and even some documents I'm sure will come out if everything will continue in this way, just denying our rights. We can see that Pashinyan clearly indicates that, and he has even some kind of let's say a map in his hands showing the people that aluminum cut map, that this is Armenia, and so on. Diaspora at least must be active in every community, expressing the will if they do not agree with this policy. If diaspora says that so-called Western Armenia is our homeland, okay, you have to fight for this. And
Yes.
saying fight, it does not mean that you have to fight on expense of your livelihood or life. No, it just, you have to spend couple of hours, 3 hours in front of your local authorities in your countries, sending them letters saying that Pashinyan does not represent our rights. And the head of Armenian government, even not a state, has not a right to speak on behalf of all people. And what is doing now Pashinyan? He is speaking not only on behalf of Armenian citizens, but all Armenians, because
Yes.
he is denying the right of all Armenians all over the world. The activity is very important. Secondly, I have seen that many parties, including ARF, they criticize Washington, Brussels, Paris, which is right to do, but they never say anything against Moscow. But the main guilt goes to Moscow, because Moscow is the ally of the Republic of Armenia. We have signed a lot of documents with them. They assumed the right and the obligation to protect Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh, which they didn't do. I mean, okay, there is a moral responsibility of other states, but we have to consider that Armenia is part of CSTO,
Yes.
and the Western countries of part of NATO. These are two different political military blocs that they see each other as an enemies.
Yes.
It's not the case. And even France, which is now supplying Armenia with some anti-missile, anti-drone radar systems, it's very important. But this has a limitation. They cannot do more. The same with economics. I was in Brussels and met a person who is in charge of Armenia in European external diplomatic service there. Let's say it's the foreign affairs minister of European Union. And they clearly said that Armenia, okay, they will support Armenia economically. They will try to open European Union market for Armenia, but Armenia cannot be simultaneously part of European Union in terms of market, and also Eurasian this union, economic union. This is the case, which means that going to diaspora has more freedom. They are not under pressure of Armenian government. We all, here are under pressure directly and indirectly. Our supporters suffered a lot of. They lost, some of them. They lost their jobs. Against some of them, criminal cases are opened until now. Some of them were under these cases, as let's me, for a year and a half because of organizing a rally. I was not allowed to leave Armenian Republic. Even I had some family issues. I had some invitations from other countries to go and to speak on behalf of Armenian and Armenian rights. I mean, it's very hard within Armenia. So we need, let's say, Armenian diaspora, they must act together as two wings of one, let's say, political bird in order to fly. Otherwise, how active will be one wing? It will not give a possibility to take off the ground. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Babian, thank you. On the other hand, there is another the phenomenon in Armenia. Some forces that they claim that they are pro-statehood. They are very much orthodox in the defense and the champions of the statehood. That is why they sit with the prime minister so they can express their minds and come to a conclusion. One of these parties, I have many friends in these parties. One of them gave me a very primitive and childish idea. He told me, "Don't be so negative. We support the prime minister. We do not criticize him publicly, because he is going to negotiations. So we want to make him relaxed and confident, self-confident, because if we do this, he will go to the negotiations relaxed and confident and from strong position, and he will negotiate. I told him, my friend, I don't want to give names. He is a left wing and my friend. I told him this is wrong, this approach. Our prime minister has a tendency to give up. He compromises and gives up. This is the other way around. You should do the exact opposite. If the prime minister sees an opposition that is opposing him and rejecting this tendency to compromise, he will think twice before he compromises. This way, you are just encouraging it to go relax and compromise, and everything is okay, especially that the street is silent. Your job, if you want to defend the statehood, is to leave this forum at once. Now, please allow me to call upon all the forces that are participating in this absurd, sorry to say this, but it is futile and meaningless. These are the Hortanagan sessions. They must leave at once, and they must start dialogue with the opposition. What do you want to say to these parties who are clearly naive, maybe?
Our party, National Democratic Alliance, also received a couple of years ago the invitation to be part of so-called Artakhor-Taranagan meeting of this. But for us, it was clear this is some kind of cover his position, because meeting of these people, he has an excuse to tell everyone, legitimize his betrayal, saying, you see, I have total support. The people are silent, which means they agree with me. The parties in parliament, the majority is mine. They are for my policy. And also I have some kind of form that I meet some of the other parties. If they come and meet me, this means they agree with my policy. It's at least naive, even foolish, to think that the tail can play the dog. The dog can play the tail. This is the reality. It's always. They are so small, a small tail, and they think that will play around the dog. It's impossible. They are used and misused by Prime Minister to legitimize his policy, because regardless how strong will feel Pashinyan there, and it's also nonsense thinking that if he will receive a positive, let's say, attitude from that parties, he will be stronger. Now, first of all, these parties do not represent real people. They're small parties with maybe 30, 50 people. How many people they can take on the streets now? We have seen not many. I mean, if some people saying that Armenian National Democratic Alliance, the BEVER, it's just a couple of thousand, 3, 4, 5,000, not more. Okay. But it's the biggest number. And how many they can support us on the streets, not just on Facebook, on YouTube speaking, because it's easier. You see and click and say, okay, you are doing right. But when it comes the time to come out on the street, we can see that the big numbers Bever can bring on the street. So, first of all, they do not make stronger Pashinyan. Secondly, you are right, making him stronger, he feels that, okay, they support me, it means I'm doing the right thing, okay, I have to continue. The only way that Pashinyan will change his mind, it will be if he will think that he will lose his position.
Yes.
I mean, the people will be against him. They will come out on the street, not just thousands, tens and tens thousand, which is our attitude. Why we are always calling people to come out on the streets? Because we have to express, we have to show our disagreement. And how we can show? It's not just writing or speaking on Facebook or on Zoom. We will have to show on the ground the people. At least if you will have 100,000 of people, first of all, will force Pashinyan, at least to try to force Pashinyan to resign. Secondly, he will understand that this 100,000 next time will be 200,000. And thirdly, is that we can tell other countries, United States, European countries, that see there, people do not agree. They are on the streets. Because when I say now that people do not agree with policy, with this policy of betrayal, compromising everything, they ask me, okay, how it's expressed their disagreement. And the only thing that I can say, okay, you see the alliance, the BEVER has 24 hours, 7 days a week, people present on there, speaking there, and we are having maybe over 20 rallies each year and so on.
Yes.
But the problem is they do understand, they know that we do not represent the whole people. We represent a segment of Armenian people, maybe the most active part, not the whole, at least the majority. In order to speak strongly on behalf of Armenia, on behalf saying that we do not agree, we need big numbers. The numbers, the size matters now. What is our position? Let me tell that because I am sure that some will ask, okay, we do not agree with the position of Nikol Pashinyan and what he can do for now. Yeah, because he cannot deny a peace, saying I'm not for peace. I do not sign any document with Azerbaijan or with Turkey. It will be foolish. It's not realistic, including that Armenia is the weaker side. So when I met and we speak to others, we'll explain our position. We are for peace agreements. We are for delimitation of the borders with our neighbors. We are for normalizing relations with them. But in order to do so, and for this, we need, first of all, to clarify the legal basis of this solution.
Yes.
And our position is that the former Soviet administrative borders cannot be basis for independent states of Armenia, Georgia, and Azerbaijan. First of all, Azerbaijan and Georgia, they themselves, when they were declaring their independence in 91, they rejected the Soviet period. They officially undersigned that it was a period of occupation by a foreign country, Russia, and so on. And they are successor states of the First Republic.
Exactly.
Their First Republic. Armenia did not do this, or did in a very mild way, just saying that Armenia will continue the democratic principles of the First Republic, so much. But they have much bigger declarations with several points there clarifying that they do not accept Soviet period. Okay, if they do not accept, we have to go what was before occupation, I mean before Sovietization of South Caucasus. And because the claims of Armenia and Azerbaijan is overlapping, we are saying that not only Nagorno-Karabakh, but also the Lower Karabakh belongs to Armenia, because it was according decision of League of Nations.
Exactly.
They claim, I don't know why, but they claim saying that Zangezur is part of Azerbaijan. Even Yerevan was given to Armenia and so on. So what do people do, civilized people do when they have disagreement? They go to court. There is International Court of Justice, and according to the Statute of International Court, it seems Article 36, Part 2, that they have the right to give binding decision on any international matter or any international documents. So let's present documents. Let's them decide what territory belongs to whom, the title of which territory holds what country, and then based on this, let's solve. Otherwise, what we have now that Armenia under pressure, under duress, is signing a treaty, which means it will not bring stability or because it's not based on justice.
Yes,
The
exactly.
only thing that will bring, it will create in the minds of Armenians that we were weak, and because of this we lost our territories. Let's try to become stronger, militarily stronger, and then we can regain our territories. This is not a path to peace. This is a path to the Third Karabakh War. Will be possible to regain or not? It's another issue. But in the mind of people, it will be that if everything is solved based on the results of the war, let's again to replay all the game, and then we can see the outcome. Yeah.
Exactly, Mr. Babian. I have two questions, but you spoke something very interesting. But I will make it the next question after this. The neutral media, the neutral public opinion, even in Lebanon. I want to mention one of my political friends in Lebanon, Mr. Richard Kuyumjan. He is the head of in the external relations of the Lebanese Forces political party in Lebanon. In 2022, I spoke to him. He was surprised. He told me, isn't Pashinyan pro-Western? This is the result of a very massive propaganda that even good people, neutral people, even the international and foreign media and the public mind think that Mr. Pashinyan is pro-Western. I want you to clarify, because I think that some Lebanese Arabs are listening, and maybe some non-Armenians. Is Pashinyan pro-Western? Because this is what they think the world thinks.
Usually, what we take as a criteria to assess the position of a political figure, the words or the deeds. Okay, the deeds, what he have done, not what he has spoken, because he can speak too much about many things, but do the opposite, which is was done by Nikol Pashinyan. Pashinyan, in his, at least in to the Republica, Wall Street Journal, and other newspapers, in his interviews, spoke strongly pro-Western and in a way anti-Russian. But so much, no steps were taken. When they say Pashinyan is pro-Western, based on what action they say? During Pashinyan period, economic ties between Armenia and Russia became even stronger. And Armenia now is totally controlled economically by Russia. Even the small segments went out of that field that were not under Russian control. Under military control. If before Pashinyan, Russians had military presence in Gyumri, now they have at least 2 or 3 other positions there. So militarily they became stronger. Let's say, can they mention one time of voting in United Nations that Armenia voted against Russia? Never. I mean, Armenia was always voting for Russia, against West, totally against West. When, let's say, just 6 or 7 countries were voting for Russia, Armenia was among them. And Armenia is the only country, I want to underline, only country they sent Armenian troops to fight West in Syria. No other country has sent. I mean, just Russia and Armenia. And you are sending military force to fight West. And do you think that you are pro-Western? I mean, this is the foolish thing. What's happening? This is because of Russian propaganda. The essence of Russian propaganda since the beginning of when Pashinyan became prime minister of Armenia, to create excuses why they do not or did not support Armenia. You have to blame Pashinyan, saying, you see, he is pro-Western, and because of this, we do not support. I mean, which is nonsense, because when he came to power, he clearly said that nothing will be changed, and nothing changed actually between Armenia and Russia. Armenia was supporting. I mentioned that he sent Armenian troops to Syria and so on. But because in the minds of Russians, there was already the plan to give Karabakh to Azerbaijan. So the only way was doing so to make the people in Armenia or in Karabakh all over the world saying that this is because of Pashinyan. You see, when we compare position of Aliyev and Pashinyan, Aliyev much more pro-Western. Aliyev has in its soil NATO forces. NATO aircrafts are based in Azerbaijan, Turkey. They have signed very strong Shushi declaration with Turkey, I mean Azerbaijan and Turkey, of military cooperation, everything.
Yes.
Very strong pro-Western, pro-Turkish, because pro-Turkish, as a member of NATO, in military terms, is became as pro-Western, yeah? They never, let's say, some people say Pashinyan did not meet Putin in airport because of this. Putin changed his attitude. I would like to say that Aliyev never met Putin in airport, never, even a single time. Always deputy prime minister was meeting him.
Putin.
I mean, welcoming Putin in airports.
Yes.
So, what the problem? The problem is that Turkey and Azerbaijan currently are much more important for Russia. And what will be done by Armenia towards Russia will not receive the reciprocity from them because we do not have that importance for them. The importance of Azerbaijan is that through Azerbaijan, Russia has access to Iran and to Turkey. Now, via Georgia, and currently they're putting the efforts to open so-called Zangezur corridor to have directly Azerbaijan and Turkey. Because why they want this exterritoriality of the Zangezur corridor, which means that nobody will be between Turkey and Azerbaijan. Because if that even 42 kilometers will be controlled by Armenian side, it will have the same problems as they have now a road and also railroad going through Georgia. This is otherwise they have access to Turkey. I mean, the railroad Tbilisi cars that they built, I mean, Baku Tbilisi cars, is underloaded. They have that possibility to enlarge the trade and so on. The problem is they do not want to have even 1 kilometer controlled by others. So Pashinyan clearly is pro-Russian. It's not only not pro-Western, he's pro-Russian. I will explain why he's pro-Russian. Because what he is doing now, let's say saying that our participation is frozen in CSTO.
Yes.
Some people think that this is a pro-Western declaration. No, this is pro-Russian declaration because this gives Russian excuse not to protect Armenia.
Exactly.
This is the case because you have two choices: be part of CSTO or be out of. There is not such a situation, frozen situation. So Armenia being part of CSTO cannot get any support from West, real military support, because being part of that pro-Russian military bloc. Meanwhile, being part of that military bloc unit community will not receive any support from Russia because Pashinyan gave an excuse not to do so.
Exactly,
Yes.
Mr. Babian. We have exactly 4 minutes. I want you to address the other fractions of the opposition. What are the efforts of the NDA? Because now the greatest challenge is to unite the opposition. We have only 4 minutes. What do you want to say to the opposition? Because the challenge is to unify.
Okay, we were holding some meetings with some opposition parties over a year, not just on Facebook or something, no, just real on the ground, uh, meeting them, talking them, but it's very hard. Firstly, even among the opposition, there is a big disagreement. There is a pro-Western opposition, there is a pro-Russian opposition, there is an opposition who see Karabakh as an independent state, some see as part of Armenia, as we do, and also these many so-called parties, they in reality do not have any strong support, but their claims and demands are so big, so big. They want. I mean, they do not just want to join; they want to be a leader of that. I mean, some small group they want, and because of this, actually, it fails. But even you see, even the small groups of opposition, they cannot unite each other because you see these people, they want. There is a saying, to be the first in a village or to be number second in a city. This is the case. They want to be number one in a village. It's small, but they are number one. They created so-called parties. They are playing this. Otherwise, I mean, National Democratic Alliance. When was it created? I never was part of Sasnat's Red or something, but there was an intention to create a platform for unification of the opposition or free-minded people and so. They sent hundreds of invitations to people. I joined them. Why? The others did not join. Because the others want others to join them. I mean, I went, I said, okay, I'm ready to be one of you, let's do this. And over 18 months, there was even no council. There was no council. There was called Nachadzerno Khumb. They are waiting others, asking to join and together to create. They didn't do this. And also we have to take in our minds, to have in our mind that the other countries, hostile countries to Armenia, they also play with this group, which means making them to overestimate the importance, saying that you are the, I don't know, the leaders, you are the essence, you are the axis of everything. So, and because of that, there is no unification now. But the problem is not there. We have to consider that even if the whole opposition will be unified, it's not be enough to topple, to overthrow Pashinyan. This is the reality. Because the majority of the people, they are ignorant. They do not take part. I mean, saying all this opposition, how many percentage of the Armenian society is there? 2, 3, 4, maximum 5%. 95% of people, even people who are under direct threat of Azeris, they do not. They just rebel when it comes. The danger comes to their home. When we see the votes, the results of the vote of last elections, all these 4 villages voted largely extensive for Pashinyan, because I mean, it's the simple thing saying that they have to please the government in order to get more money from the government. Okay, maybe you have now more the better roads. Pashinyan always was saying, okay, see how many kilometers of new asphalt we have done, but you will lose your
everything.
I mean everything.